This is day 45 of startup. As my co-founder is preparing to leave his job, some people asked him, why are you even leaving this job when you do not yet have an idea? And we have discussed this and we decided multiple reasons why we are doing this way. Number one, it is very clear to us that we want to do a startup. This is our calling, and we may do a job for some time here or there, but we have we have spent a lot of time in the past in trying to build a startup, and this is what we want to do in future. This is the right career for us, so sooner or later we have to do this. Why not sooner? And we're not afraid, because again, if this is something you have to do this, then this is your path. Maybe you can earn a few lakhs or few whatever $1,000 extra while continuing the job, but sooner or later it is anyways not for you. Second reason is that even though there is no idea, but there is so much work to be done to get an idea. So for most people who are trying to do a startup, they probably think of the idea as the things that are lacking in their life and they can improve those, and that's how these ideas are based on some kind of inspiration. But for us, we don't want to do startup in consumer space, we want to do startup in business space, a B2B startup. And there are many reasons for it. We can actually go and check out in the internet and search for Y Combinator videos around why B2C startups are much more risky than B2B startups. So we decided we'll do B2B startup. And when you're looking for a business problem to solve, these problems do not arrive as inspirations from your daily life. We have to actively talk to people who are doing businesses and try to understand those like particular functions of a business, and try to come up with a way to improve that function, to improve the way it is done today. So in that sense, we have to master this little business area that we are trying to improve. And for that we have to spend time, because we do not have already a business running where we can look for inspiration. We have to look out for other people to get this information from them, and then we have to reach out to them during their working hours. We have to be available for meeting during 9 to 5. So for that reason, it is important to keep ourselves free during those working hours. Also, I think making relationships with investors, reaching out to investors, is also something that can be done pretty early on, and that can fill up the time, and it also requires time. We have to spend time on that, so it is good to we can also do that. Now there are few more minor reasons why I personally believe that it is important to do full time to your startup. And I remember, like, even 10 years back, or maybe actually more, maybe 15 years back, I was leaving my first job, and that job was very easy. I only had to do work on an average 2 hours a day, and I was getting good salary. But I still left that job to do a startup full time at that time. And again, at that time, also, I had few points which are still valid today. One was like, there is a thing called time, getting time for your startup, but there's also called something called energy. And so while job may only be consuming 2 to 3 hours of your time, but it still consumes a lot of your good energy, the important. So you can do your job and then come back, and when you are tired you can do startup, or you can put your best energy into the startup. Another second point was for me at that point of time is that even if a job takes 2 hours, why will I, if that is not my future, if that is not where I'm looking to grow, then why to even spend those 2 hours there? I can spend those 2 hours in some kind of hobby with my friends, with my family, whatever. But why to even waste 2 hours in something that is not relevant for future? So I think everything in the long run and what is relevant in the future. And there's another point which is valid now. At that time I don't think so much of it, but I'm right now quite against quite quitting. I believe, I have always seen in my jobs that whenever I have been interested in the work that I'm doing, I have always given the wow to the employer that I've worked for. I've done things that were really appreciated, and whenever I have been more casual and I was focused somewhere else as my source of inspiration, for my source of inspiration, and not particularly interested in the job I was doing, it was very average experience for the employer too. So over time I now decided that I am really against quiet quitting. Do something that you really believe in. And so in all this I want to say definitely that me and my co-founders have saved enough money that we can sustain for a few years, so that is also a big factor. So definitely, for a lot of people who are not in this situation, it is perfectly understandable to do job while you are working on startup, but for me this made sense.